The Cleveland Browns may have just made the quarterback decision that could define the entire season, and the reaction from fans is getting louder by the minute. Deshaun Watson is still QB1. Shedeur Sanders is waiting for his opportunity. And now this situation is turning into much more than a simple depth chart decision. The pressure is building. The fan base is divided. And if Watson struggles early, everything could change very fast. Stay with me until the end, because the biggest question is not only why Cleveland is making this move right now, but how long the Browns are really willing to stick with it before Sanders gets his chance. Before we get into everything, hit the like button if you want to see the Browns make the right decision at quarterback this season. And I want your opinion in the comments right now. Should Cleveland give Deshaun Watson another real chance, or should Shedeur Sanders be the quarterback this team turns to as soon as possible? Let me know below, because Browns fans have a lot to say about this one. Deshaun Watson being named Cleveland's quarterback has triggered exactly the kind of reaction you would expect from a Browns fan base that believed the quarterback competition might finally push this team in a different direction. Even after Watson's rough showing against Buffalo, the decision has not changed. And that has left a large section of Cleveland fans frustrated, disappointed, and asking one very simple question. Why are the Browns going back to this again? The strongest reaction is not really about one bad preseason performance. It is about everything that has built up around Watson during his time in Cleveland. Fans have watched the Browns commit an enormous guaranteed contract to him, waited for the version of Watson they expected when the trade happened, and instead have seen seasons interrupted by poor play and injuries. That history is why this quarterback decision feels much bigger than an ordinary depth chart announcement. Watson did not make the situation any easier with his comments about the Cleveland crowd. He brought up the fact that fans cheered when he suffered his Achilles injury and questioned what that had to do with his performance. But for many Browns fans, performance is exactly where the frustration starts. Their argument is simple. If Watson had arrived in Cleveland, played at an elite level, won playoff games, and turned the Browns into a championship contender, the relationship between quarterback and city would look completely different. Instead, the relationship now appears badly damaged on both sides. That is also why Shedeur Sanders has become such an important part of this conversation. The excitement surrounding Sanders is not only about wanting a different quarterback. Fans want to know whether Cleveland has someone who could actually become part of the future. Watson, according to the reaction surrounding this decision, is viewed by many as the past. Sanders represents the unknown, and for frustrated fans, the unknown suddenly feels much more attractive than returning to something they believe they have already seen fail. One fan summed up the frustration by essentially asking why Cleveland would start the player nobody wants to watch when there is another quarterback the fan base is eager to see. That feeling has become one of the biggest arguments for giving Sanders an opportunity. Fans are not saying they already know exactly what he will become. They are saying they want the Browns to find out. And then there is the Jimmy Haslam factor. The anger is not being directed only at Watson. Some fans believe ownership has played a major role in keeping this situation alive. The source specifically points to Haslam attending Watson's wedding during the offseason as something fans interpreted as another sign of the relationship between ownership and the quarterback. Whether that moment actually determined the football decision is not established, but the perception among these Browns fans is obvious. They believe Watson continues to receive opportunities because the organization remains deeply invested in making the original decision work. That perception is dangerous because it creates another question. Is Cleveland choosing the quarterback it truly believes gives the team the best chance to win? Or is the organization still trying to justify a decision that has already cost it so much? There are Browns fans willing to support Watson if he plays well. One reaction raised the possibility that winning football could eventually quiet the boos. That is probably the only realistic path toward changing the atmosphere. If Watson goes onto the field and produces, fans will have to react to what happens in front of them. But the relationship has become so strained that even strong performances might not immediately erase everything that happened before. And Cleveland does not have unlimited time to figure this out. The discussion around Sanders is already moving toward when, not necessarily if, he could get his opportunity. The source argues that if Watson struggles early, Sanders could enter the picture quickly. It even predicts Sanders could eventually start a significant number of games this season. That is not an official Browns plan. It is the expectation coming from the reaction surrounding this quarterback battle. But the fact that people are already discussing Watson being replaced before the regular season gets going tells you everything about the level of confidence surrounding QB1. There is also the roster question. Cleveland has multiple quarterbacks to evaluate, and every roster spot matters. Fans are already wondering whether carrying Watson could eventually affect the Browns' ability to keep and develop another quarterback with upside. Again, this is no longer just about one starter. Every decision Cleveland makes at this position has consequences for what comes next. And maybe that is the biggest reason this announcement has hit Browns fans so hard. They have already lived through the Watson experiment. Now they are being asked to believe there is still something left to discover. So if you are a Browns fan looking at Watson as QB1 while Shedeur Sanders waits behind him, what do you believe Cleveland should do? Give Watson one final opportunity to prove himself, or move to Sanders as soon as possible? Now I want to hear from you, Browns fans. Do you believe Cleveland should stay patient with Deshaun Watson? Or is it already time to see what Shedeur Sanders can really do with this offense? Drop your opinion in the comments, because this quarterback situation is far from over. And if you want every Browns update as soon as it happens, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and turn on notifications. Then click the video on your screen right now and keep watching, because the biggest Browns news, rumors, and updates first, you'll find them right here.